So good morning and welcome to the morning sit here at IMC. And it's wonderful for me to sit in the morning with others, and except on retreats. I haven't done that for a very long time. And I've had a long time wish that here at IMC that I'd come down and sit at IMC with other people in the early morning. And now with this online offerings, this is what's happening. And so I just wanted to share my delight to share this with you all. So we'll begin, and we begin with something, or not begin, we begin, middle, and end of meditation, is to sit present, aware, in the middle of what is obvious. What is obvious in the present moment. So with your eyes closed if you'd like, or half closed, maybe it's obvious that you are sitting in your spot, that your location where you are. There's a long history in Buddhism of taking any spot on which someone is meditating as being a special spot. For now, it's the Dharma spot for you. So acknowledge here and now where you're sitting. And then another obvious, somewhat obvious thing of the present moment is you're sitting in this body. And to take a few moments to recognize that which is most obvious about sitting here, being here, in your body, without ambition or agendas. If you turn your attention to roam around your body, to recognize, acknowledge all that's obvious in your body, that which is pleasant, that which is unpleasant, that which is neither pleasant or unpleasant. Acknowledging the places in your body that are active with sensations, vitality, and the parts of your body that are maybe more neutral or offline, perhaps. And what is most obvious about sitting here and now, about your emotional state, your mood, how you feel? And obvious doesn't mean strong, but how are you now? Can you acknowledge it? Just recognize how it is. Permissively, allowingly, without commentary or ideas or agendas, just very broadly, openly. Recognize, oh, here and now, this is how it is for now. And then most obviously, how is it in your mind? This mind which is somewhat amorphous, not necessarily located in the brain. The energies of sensations, the thoughts that are going on. And to sit in the middle of it and acknowledge it. And finally, and kind of sitting and acknowledging what's obvious, perhaps you can sense the level of energy, vitality, life force which is present for you as you sit here. And perhaps there's some quality of your inner energy, vitality, that can support your presence, support your ability to sit aware, mindful in the middle of it all. And then, at the center of all these things that are obviously happening here, now, to become aware of the body breathing. Perhaps the breathing is the meeting place of body, feelings, mind, your inner vitality or energy. And to the mix, perhaps you can bring a gentleness, to experiencing the inhale as the body breathes in, the exhale as the body breathes out. Not so much the air, but the sensations that come into play. And not rejecting everything else, but rather having breathing be the center of all things. As if breathing is a foundation from which everything sits or arises. Or as if breathing encompasses all things, massages all things. To sit here, really here and now, letting your body breathe itself, and letting the mind, the thinking mind, become quieter, more peaceful. Gently, connecting to breathing. Gently, allowing for all things, moment by moment. As we come to the end of this sitting, I'd like to offer you 3 questions that maybe you'd like to carry with you during the day. 3 questions about the obvious. The reason for these questions is that mindfulness practice can unfold most effectively in being mindful of what is obvious in the present moment. It doesn't have to be complicated. So the first question is, what is obvious right now? What present moment experience? What's happening here and now? That's the most obvious, the most easy to be aware of, the most clearly present. And the second question is, what's a wise way of being present or relating to what is obvious? Third question is, what is making it difficult for me to be at rest, to be aware of what is obvious? What do I think is important that takes me away from what's obviously happening here and now? And certainly in daily life, the obvious sometimes is not the most important thing to pay attention to. But if we don't have an ability to be at ease and at rest with what's obvious, it might be hard to know how to be aware of anything else. So especially in meditation, to find our way forward, to have our life open up, reveal itself through the simple presence, simple attention to what is obvious. And may whatever ability you have to be present in a wise, calm, equanimous way to what is obvious in your life, may it support the kind of presence and care and love that you can provide for the people you encounter. May your open ability to be with what's obvious support many people so they can feel seen, acknowledged, appreciated. May all beings be happy. So good morning again to those who are sitting. Good morning for the first time, those of you who might be joining us now. And these mornings that I'm sitting here teaching for the last week and this week and next 3 weeks. The theme are the 5 faculties, usually have what they're called in English, the 5 indriyas. And last week I talked about the first, faith. This week I'll talk about the second, effort. And I want to say something about this word indriya, faculties. Sometimes in English it's called the 5 spiritual faculties. Occasionally I've seen it translated as the 5 controlling faculties. The name of these 5 qualities comes from the name of the Indian god Indra. So Indriya means something like of the god Indra. And Indra, in the time of the Buddha, was the kind of the ruler of the gods. And he was considered to be a friend of human beings, friend of the Buddha. And in some degree, this ruler of the gods had dominion over them, or controlled them, or the celestial world. And so to call these 5 faculties, 5 qualities, capacities, abilities that we have, to associate them with the god Indra, the great god, ruler of the gods, is to give them a fairly high regard. And maybe it would be appropriate in English to translate them as the 5 divine faculties. And what I like about this kind of language of divine faculties is the great respect it offers to something that's found within us. That the human abilities that we have to engage and be present for things is somehow very special. It's celebrated, it's valued in a great degree. That we find treasures within ourselves, something that's considered divine. And these divine faculties, abilities we have, can be our friend for almost anything we do. They come along. And they also have some kind of supportive, I don't know if we want to say controlling, supporting quality, helping things to unfold, or supporting the unfolding, the doing, the activities we're involved in. So faith, to have faith or confidence in what we do, to make effort, to be attentive or mindful as we do it, to be focused and steady or concentrated as we do something, and to be wise or discerning. These are the 5 divine faculties we have. And today's faculty is, this week, is effort, Viriya. And effort is a very important quality of practice, and one way of understanding the course of Buddhist practice is that it's continual effort, or continual finding right effort. That what's the right effort, how we make effort, changes day to day, hour to hour, sometimes minute to minute. And being attuned to that and knowing how to flow and move in and out of what effort is needed is part of the art of practice. The word effort can be, some people will hear it, immediately be reactive or feel like it's a burden. It means like effort has associations with hard work and needing to prove oneself or do something different, be something different than what we are, or something. But hopefully, as the people develop in the practice, the idea of effort becomes a delight. It becomes second nature, it becomes easy, it becomes something that we're well attuned to and understand all the ins and outs of it, and that we appreciate it as something divine. We appreciate it as something valuable that we have. And there are, during this week, I'll talk about 5 different qualities of effort, because the quality or how effort is manifests changes in the course of time and over practice. The first form of effort for today is, I think of it as initiating effort. The effort it takes to initiate and begin doing practice, Buddhist practice, doing meditation. And without some effort, we won't sit down to meditate. Without some effort, we won't go on a retreat. Without some effort, we don't bring up the mindfulness to pay attention to what's going on. There has to be some initiating effort. And that initiating effort is sometimes is easy. We have a tremendous inspiration, just really excited about the opportunities to sit and meditate and have effort there and engage, and we're very wholeheartedly involved. Feel so lucky that we get to do this. And other times it's really hard. There can be a lot of inertia. There can be a lot of resistance. There can be fear around stepping down. There could be a lot of laziness. There could be a lot of momentum to do other things, almost anything else but to sit quietly and meditate. And sometimes it takes a lot of effort. Maybe like manual labor to kind of get oneself to sit down and just sit down to do nothing or to do very little and be quiet. And to do it regularly takes effort. To get up in the morning and decide I'm going to sit, and to be mindful through the day when so many other things are compelling and want our attention. But to initiate, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to engage in it. And the initiating effort is one that gets done over and over again. And we can see that clearly in meditation, especially when people are relatively new to this, or the mind is somewhat agitated and been a busy day, that a lot of meditation is just starting over, initiating again and again and again. The mind wanders off, and we come back. Mind wanders off, we start again. I like the language of starting again, because every time we start is its own wonderful thing. If we have some idea that we're trying to maintain continuity and then feel discouraged when the mind goes off, that becomes kind of a burden for meditation. But whenever we notice we wandered off in thought and we're no longer mindful, to have this very open, generous idea that we're going to sit now as if it's the very first time, that we don't have to carry with us the burden of what has just happened. We're allowed to start fresh as if this is the newest thing we're doing. Okay, I'll start again. And it might be in a session of meditation that starting again is done 100 times. It's done over and over again. And that's not wrong, it's not a mistake. A tremendous amount of good comes from all those little moments of starting over, of initiating the practice, making the effort to show up and be present again, to be here. Every moment of doing that is a redirecting, retraining, reconditioning the mind. It is letting go and weakening the forces of distraction and preoccupation that have been strengthened sometimes over a lifetime of uncontrolled engagement in them. It's actually a powerful thing to step away from the habitual, compulsive way the mind operates, to be present, to be here with the present moment, with what's going on, with what's obvious. And then, just that is great. If you can sustain that over time, great. But don't underestimate the power of this initiating effort. And sometimes when I've meditated, it feels like meditation is just a lot of manual labor. Like when I'm sleepy and mind is kind of busy and distractible, that it's really hard to be present, and I have to kind of keep coming back. Start again. And depending on circumstances in our lives, it might be a lot of effort to start again. Keep doing it. Keep showing up. Keep letting go. And So the initiating effort, the effort it takes to get to the cushion, to go on a retreat. We have to do a lot of effort to go on a retreat, to organize our life, to get bus tickets and take the bus wherever we're going to go, and whatever it takes to get there. And some of that effort, to get to the cushion, to get to show up, is part of the practice itself, especially if you give care and attention to how you sit down to meditate. That you don't do it, hopefully, as a burden, as a heavy duty, but maybe you make your meditation place kind of beautiful. You maybe the few minutes before you meditate are quite important. You don't rush to get finished everything you possibly can so you can meditate and sit down meditating out of breath. Perhaps the meditation can begin 5 minutes before you sit down, just as you begin to kind of take care of things, settle things around in your home, be a little bit calmer in what you do, so that when you come to sit, that effort to slow down, that effort to be calm and to be here and preparing yourself for it, then the effort to sit is a little bit easier. The effort to sit is a little bit more harmonious. So a lot of effort is the initiating effort. Eventually, we don't have to initiate so much. Eventually, we're kind of start being in the flow of effort. We're able to kind of sustain it. We're able to stay awake more continuously in our experience, and we stay here. And as we begin to stay more fully in the experience, and able to maintain that to some degree, then effort begins to have different shape. Different kinds of efforts are needed. And we can ask ourselves the question, which was the first question I asked a Buddhist teacher, my first Zen teacher. We can ask ourselves the question, what's the right effort? And finding our way to the right effort when we're able to engage and stay engaged is a really wise question, and how to answer that question is the discussion for tomorrow. But for now, I want to tell you a little story of that first question I asked my first Zen teacher. I had just been introduced to Zen and to Zen meditation. I was attracted to doing it. This is something I wanted to do. The teacher had just given a Dharma talk and had left the Dharma hall. And I walked up to him, and I was 20 years old, and this is 45 years ago. And I asked him, what's the right effort for doing Zen meditation? I don't remember much about why I was asking it, or what I understood effort to be, or even what the word right effort is, but I remember asking him the question. And he gave me what would be for some people a wonderful answer. But it wasn't wonderful for me because I was so new to all this, to Buddhism and all that, and so, I just didn't know how to understand the question or make any sense of it at all. So I think I probably internally just shrugged my shoulders and just kind of let it be, and it really made no impression on me. But still, it was a kind of a wonderful answer. I asked him, what's the right effort for doing meditation? And he looked at me and he said, who's making the effort? That's all he said. Who's making the effort? So as we go through this week looking at effort, we'll look at different aspects and what the nature of right effort is, and perhaps there's a way in which the question, who's making the effort, can free you, can free your effort so that it doesn't carry the burden of self through it. May you enjoy your effort this week. Thank you.